Today, we're diving into one of the most fundamental and versatile functions that Google Sheets has to offer, the VLOOKUP formula. VLOOKUP, which stands for Vertical Lookup, has been a cornerstone of data manipulation in spreadsheets for years, helping you find specific data in large data sets. Have you ever had that long list of information and just needed to find that one piece of data within it? That's where VLOOKUP can help. But as times change, so do our spreadsheets. That's why we're also going to be exploring XLOOKUP. It's like VLOOKUP's younger, more flexible sibling. With XLOOKUP, not only can you look vertically, but you can look horizontally as well. Whether you're a seasoned pro looking to brush up your skills, a newbie eager to dive into the world of Google Sheets, or someone who just loves making data work for them, this video is for you. We'll walk through practical examples, some common use cases, and even troubleshoot some of the common pitfalls. So let's head over to the laptop and get started. In this first example, we're going to take a look at a traditional VLOOKUP. We've got a table of data here with full name, location code, location, sales revenue, and bonus percentage. And we're going to try and get the location and the bonus percentages into this table from the information on the two tables on the right hand side. We're going to start with location equals VLOOKUP, and you can see here that we've got a range of different arguments. Every argument that isn't in square brackets is required. If it is in square brackets, that means it's optional. The search key is our location code. This is the item that we want to look for in the table on the right hand side. We're going to press comma after that. Now we're going to look for our range. Our range is this table over here. And with a VLOOKUP, the item that you're looking for is in the left hand column, so column number 1. And we're going to fix that just by pressing F4. So that means that as we drag the formula down, that the table doesn't shift down. We're going to press comma there, and within this table here, we're going to want to pull through the location, which is our column index number 2. So we're going to press 2, then we're going to press comma. Now this is optional, this last argument. If we left it blank, it would default to false, which means exact match, but just for completeness, we're going to type it in there. Close the parentheses and press enter. And this pulls through the location for that location code. So if we look for 37851, 37851 is Los Angeles, and it's pulled that through. And it's suggesting that we autofill that. So let's hit Control and Enter, and that will autofill. In this second example, we're going to try and bring through the bonus percentage based on the sales revenue column. But as you can see, all of these sales revenue figures aren't exact matches to the table we have here. We're going to have to change the last part of the formula in order to bring through an approximate match rather than an exact match. We'll type equals VLOOKUP. Everything in the first part of the formula, the first 3 required arguments, are exactly the same. So this column here, this is the column we need to look up in this range over here. And we're going to fix that again because we don't want the table to shift. So press F4. We're going to bring through column number 2. And this time we're going to want the true statement. So this will bring through an approximate match. If we press enter, that's pulled through the values. We're going to press Control Enter there to fill that down. And for all of the values that are greater than 10,000, we have a value in this column. So for example, 12,070 is more than 10,000 but less than 15,000, so it's pulled through 5%. We've got a couple of errors here, and that's because the values in this sales revenue column are less than the first value in this table, so there is no value to pull through. What we can do to try and combat that is to wrap the VLOOKUP function in an if error function. Open the parentheses there. The value is the value of our VLOOKUP, so that's just our formula. We'll put a 0 in here, but this is optional. Press enter, and now you can see rather than having an error, it's put a 0 in there. We'll pull that down. So now we've cleaned the table up. Rather than having any errors, we got the zeros in. The VLOOKUP function is pretty old now, and there are a few limitations with it. Firstly, it is a vertical lookup function, so it can only look at table data vertically. There is a function called HLOOKUP, and that can look up horizontally if your data is set out in that way, although that is usually a lot rarer to see. Secondly, the data has to be set out in a way that the item you were looking at in the index table is in the very first column of the index. So as we saw here, the location code had to be in the first column in order to bring through the location. The XLOOKUP function combats both of these drawbacks. It can look at data both vertically and horizontally, and it can also look at data whereby the location code in this instance is on the right hand side, so column 2, not the first column. So we'll have a look at this in practice. We'll type XLOOKUP, and the first thing you'll see is that there are a few more options to choose from in terms of criteria in this. Again, anything that's not in square brackets is required, anything in square brackets is optional. The search key is our location code, so the item that we are looking for. The lookup range, so over here, the lookup range is this column in our table, and we will fix that again because we are pulling the formula down. We're going to comma, and then the result range is now this column. So we're looking from right to left rather than left to right as you would in a traditional VLOOKUP. We're going to fix that. And for now, we're not going to choose any other of the optional arguments. So we're going to close the parentheses and press enter, hit Control Enter to fill it down, and you can see that we've got exactly the same answers that we had in our VLOOKUP example, but this gives us a lot more flexibility that we don't need to have to change our data format if it comes in this format here, but you would have had to if you were trying to use VLOOKUP. We're going to do the bonus column, so XLOOKUP. Search key, again, is the sales revenue. The lookup range is this column here. We have got it on the left hand side in this example. The result range, we want the bonus percentages. We're going to fix that one as well. We are going to use a couple of the optional arguments. So if you remember in the VLOOKUP one, we had the errors for the values that were less than $10,000. In the XLOOKUP function, we no longer have to wrap the function within the if error function because it's got an error handler within it, and this is the missing value. So in here, we're going to enter a 0 for missing value. Then we're going to press comma. So for the match mode, if we just scroll down, we've got the match mode here. And what you can see is if you enter a 0, that's going to be an exact match. If we want a value that's bigger than this value, then we would enter a 1. But we want to find the value that's less than that value. So -1 in this instance. And we're going to close the parentheses and press enter and Control Enter. And as you can see, we've got exactly the same figures that we had last time. So in this instance, we've already got the zeros and we haven't had to wrap it in the if error because we added that in the missing value field. In this last example, we want to pull through the revenue per unit in this table. We have the SKU code here, and in this table over on the right hand side, we have the same SKUs but it's got a mixture of text and numerical numbers in there. What we're going to have to do to pull through the revenue per unit is actually use a wildcard, whereby we will look for this value within these values here. You can use wildcards in VLOOKUP. However, we can't use VLOOKUP in this example because the value we're looking for is in the right hand column of the table. We're going to use XLOOKUP equals XLOOKUP. For the search key, we're going to have to put in the wildcard character before. So what this means is it's going to ignore all of the text before the SKU code. Within apostrophes, put the star and then ampersand, this column. Then we're going to look up our SKU in this column here. Press F4 to fix that. Comma, result range is our revenue. And within missing value, for completeness, we'll put 0 in here. And then match mode, if you come down, you can see that number 2 is for a wildcard match. So we're going to press 2 and then close the parentheses and press enter. And then control enter, and you can see that it's pulled through all of the revenue per unit. Just check 619 is this one here, and it's pulled through 27.99. Well, there you have it. We've delved into the magic of VLOOKUP and XLOOKUP, two incredibly powerful tools in your Google Sheets toolbox. Remember, these functions are about more than just data. They're about efficiency, accuracy, and empowering you to make the most of your spreadsheets. As always, practice makes perfect, so don't hesitate to put these skills to the test in your next project. If you found this video helpful, please smash that like button and don't forget to subscribe for more content. If you have any questions, comments, or ideas for future videos, leave them down below in the comments section. I always love hearing from you. And lastly, if you know somebody that could benefit from these tips, do them a favour and share this video with them. Thank you so much for watching and spending time with me today, and I'll see you in the next video.